Hello, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. My name is Kenneth. Just here stories making headlines tonight. "46 persons injured in two separate accidents on the KASOA-WINNEBA highway, with 20 in severe conditions affected with various degrees of injuries. Two dead, one in critical condition following an accident involving a water tender at Ankafufie in the central region, en route to attend to a fire outbreak. Former President John Mahama alleges the Akufo-Addo-led government channeled COVID-19 pandemic windfall of over 33 billion Ghana cedis meant to cushion the economy into its 2020 campaign activities. And later, we'll take you to Nigeria, where the country's President Muhammadu Buhari expresses shock over the deaths of at least 100 people from an explosion at an illegal oil refinery, describing the incident as catastrophe and a national disaster. Details are coming up shortly. Stay with us. Welcome to the program. Two separate accidents on the KASOA-WINNEBA highway have left scores of passengers injured. In all, about 46 persons have been affected with various degrees of injuries, with 20 in critical condition.
The WINNEBA Trauma and Specialist Hospital is where all the 46 victims of the accident are currently receiving treatment following the accidents on Sunday. The first accident occurred at Gomwampota on the WINNEBA-KASOA stretch, whilst the second happened at Gomwa-Mankesim. Police say 3 vehicles were involved in the first accident: a 207 bus registered AS5106Y, a Kia Rhino truck with registration number GX128416, and DAF trailer truck with registration details BA1698X. In an interview, the WINNEBA Municipal Fire Service Commander, DO3 Kwesi Hughes, revealed that the Kia Rhino tried to overtake the 207 bus but crashed its rear and subsequently collided with the trailer truck from the KASOA direction.
Na sprinter no na die ni mu na Kia Rhino no di akire.
The Sprinter bus was ahead of the Kia Rhino, whilst the DAF trailer truck was coming from Accra. So, the two cars were heading towards Accra. All of a sudden, the Kia Rhino overtook the Sprinter bus and ended up colliding with the DAF trailer truck. Upon reaching there, my men noticed that 8 passengers were trapped in the car, 2 girls and 6 boys. It took firefighters much effort to rescue them from the mangled vehicle for onward transportation to the hospital.
Trauma and Specialist.
On the second accident, an eyewitness account that a Cape Coast Accra-bound Sprinter bus registered GN257210 burst one of its tires, leading to a somersault. On that accident, the Municipal Fire Officer for WINNEBA, DO3 Kwesi Hughes, attributed the cause to overloading. He said 36 persons, including the driver, were on board instead of the required 23 passengers. He said foodstuffs had also been loaded on the vehicle.
Let's still stay in the central region, where a fire tender on its way to quench a fire at Ankafufie in the region has been involved in an accident, leaving 2 persons dead and 1 other in a critical condition. According to sources, the accident was caused by a Hyundai Elantra with registration number CR414-19 who crossed the fire tender at a 4-way intersection near Abura in Cape Coast. The personnel and the injured victims were rushed to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for treatment. The UCC firefighting crew subsequently dispatched another tender to Ankafufie.
Let's talk about the weather as southern Ghana earlier today experienced strong winds and heavy rains as projected by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. By the forecast, rain, thunder and windy conditions were expected in the morning of today over the Volta before drifting to the eastern, Greater Accra, Ashanti, central and western regions in the afternoon, which turned out to be the case. So what will the situation be in the hours ahead so you know how to plan before you step out? I've been joined on the telephone line by Felicity Ahafianyo. She's the head of Central Analysis and Forecasting at the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Felicity, good evening. Good to have you on the show. We see you have released yet another forecast. What is there to know?
Yeah, thank you so much and good evening for getting to us. For the night through to tomorrow morning, we are not expecting anything much in terms of rain, thunder, strong winds, and lightning. What we are expecting over southern Ghana will just be cloudy weather with just some slight rain occurring over the western flank. That's the western region, western north, and part of the Brong Ahafo area. Thereafter, we'll have a stable weather, pretty cool over the southern sector. The northern sector will just have some few clouds this evening and then later give way to clear sky. Tomorrow morning by dawn hours to 7 a.m. We are anticipating mist and fog patches, which is likely to reduce visibility. Areas of concern is those that will be traveling to Ebri, those that will be going to Koforidua, Kumasi, Sunyani, Techinman, Ijura. Those that will be going to Mankasim in the central western region, they will have poorer visibilities at the early hours of the day. So the motorists that may be using this road at dawn hours should do so with caution. They should watch their speed limit, and if you know you cannot see that much, especially when you are in a fog which is a bit thick, which is going to be less than 1,000 meters, they should reduce their speed. And then tomorrow is look a bit stable over the entire country. It's going to be partly cloudy with the sun smiling on us. Then we have localized rain cloud formations that will form over the middle part of Volta region, part of eastern Ashanti, then later the northern portions of the Greater Accra, Central, and part of the western region. And that's going to be from afternoon to the evening hours. It's not going to be intense like what we observed today, but then just some pockets over here and there. Right. That's what will happen. But then temperatures for the morning hours will reduce to 26 over the northern portions, 22, 24 for the middle sector. Along the coast, temperatures will be a bit comfortable because of the rain that we had. Some areas will have 23 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow morning is going to go up to 37, 40 over the north, the middle sector 34, 37, and then the coastal strip Greater Accra is likely to record around 33, 34 degrees Celsius.
Felicity, the weather keeps changing. Today it's cold, the next day it's hot. Why?
Yes, if we have intense system like today, it has drifted in a lot of cold winds over the sea, and then the temperature of the clouds too are very, very cold. So it has modified our existing environment or the existing ambient temperature that we have. So it has made it a bit cooler. But then we have the sun much closer to us. It's in the northern hemisphere, still doing its northwards movement. So definitely we'll have a higher temperatures. I don't know if you know, between March to May, that's when we have the hottest part of the season over the West African sub-region. So this is a time for the higher temperatures across the 16 regions of Ghana. So if we don't have rain, we don't have enough clouds to cover the sun, definitely it's going to be a bit uncomfortable.
Okay. Has the rain started too early or it is the right time?
For some portions, it started normal, as we know, but some areas, no, especially those of us over the southern portions of Volta and then the east coast, ours started a bit late. And then, but those over the inland areas, there was a bit normal. Now we are looking out to the north. The north mostly they start between now and May, so we are monitoring the event. Pretty soon we'll come out with their seasonal forecast to tell whether they are also going to have the normal start or there's going to be a late start.
Felicity Afianyo, thank you very much for that weather update. She is with the Ghana Meteorological Agency. Away from that, former President John Dramani Mahama has made some wild allegations against the Akufo-Addo-led administration. According to Mahama, the Akufo-Addo-led government channeled the COVID-19 pandemic windfall of over 33 billion Ghana cedis meant to cushion the economy into its 2020 campaign activities. He made these comments at the 24th African Business Conference organized by the Harvard Business School, speaking on how African countries can shake off the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The former president highlighted the adverse impact of the pandemic on the African continent, narrowing down on his country, Ghana. The former president said the country's current leadership, unlike other countries, was not proactive enough to have put in place measures to ease the plight of Ghanaians in the face of the pandemic.
Our economies must have inbuilt resilience to wean us off dependency. The resilience must be rooted in the acquisition of the necessary know-how. Our education systems must emphasize modernity and have strong science, engineering, and mathematics components. Intra-African trade must be high on the agenda, and the work that had started with the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area must be seen to fruition to promote trade and commerce on the continent. Structural reforms leading to the diversification of our economies and production base and the attraction of investments into industry, agribusiness, the digital sector, and tourism must be accelerated. We must also push for self-reliance in key strategic commodities and supplies, for which we have a comparative advantage. And when I talk about this, I talk about rice, vegetable oil, and things. It's such a shame if you look at the quantities of these commodities that Africa imports when we have all the conditions to produce them ourselves. Tomatoes, onions, and just about every toothpicks, and just about everything. Africa must take greater control of the trade and processing of its natural resources, like cocoa, gold, bauxite, oil, copper, etc., and build stronger capacity to respond to global energy shocks, which have impinged heavily on our economies as a result of the current Russia-Ukraine conflict. We need to be able to deal more effectively with such shocks in future to mitigate the suffering of our people during such times. And when I talk about getting greater control of trade and processing of our natural resources, I use my own country as an example, that after decades of cocoa production, still in excess of 60 to 70% of cocoa that we produce is exported as raw beans and processed in other countries. Windfalls from commodity exports in times of hikes should be channeled into the recovery effort and not squandered on mere consumption. One area that Africa has shown remarkable growth is the ICT sector and digital.
Efforts to get a government spokesperson to respond to these wild allegations have been unsuccessful, but as and when we get to him, we surely get him to respond to these allegations. Now, executives of the MPP in the Yendi constituency, led by the constituency chairman, have vowed to resist any attempt to use the album that was compiled by the MP for the area, Farouk Aliu Mahama, to conduct elections in the constituency. This was made known at a press conference in Yendi, the Dagbon traditional capital. Our northern regional correspondent, Dibaba, has the rest of the story.
The MPP in the Yendi constituency has been in the news now for some time due to disagreement over the compilation of constituency album for the party. During the polling stations and the electoral area coordinators election of the party, Yendi produced two albums, one from the constituency executives and another from the camp of the Member of Parliament. At a press conference organized by the constituency executives of the party, a commitment was made to resist any attempt by anybody to conduct elections in the constituency if due process was not followed. They have called on leadership of the party and President of the Republic to ensure the suspension of the Yendi constituency elections until the issue of their register is fixed.
Those who say no to the album, we are 10. And those who follow MP and his poster album is 6. One of us have resigned. So majority, we are majority. Why are they denying majority? We have the right. So I am assuring you that on the day, if they don't change the album or if they did not suspend the election, we will go there with our album. Sure. That is what I want you to take note. So we are, saying direct to our elders that the party leadership, national chairman, national secretary, and national council of elders chairman, that if nothing is done on the D-Day 28, we will all meet there with the two albums.
They added that if the MP's register is to be used for the elections, they will resist it even if it means losing their lives.
We have communicated the injustice being meted by the MP to the constituency enough through the petitions and letters of complaints. But the negative impact of the misconduct of the MP is not being addressed by the party conclusively. This is akin to the party's principles, especially now that the party is readying itself to break the age of which any constituency cannot be left out since it is the heart of NPP.
On his part, Deputy Nasara coordinator of the constituency, Taminu Abdul Hamid, said leadership of the party should act now to fully address the negative behavior of the Yendi MP to ensure that Yendi constituency takes part in breaking the aid camp 2024. A petition was subsequently presented to the Yendi Municipal Chief Executive for onward presentation to the President and leadership of the MPP in Accra. Meanwhile, all efforts made to speak to the Member of Parliament of the area proved futile.
From the northern region, let's take you to the Upper East region, where residents in the Timpani district of the region have expressed worry over the ongoing construction works on the Bugri to Pusiga Road. According to them, the contractor working on the Bugri-Pusiga Bridge has suddenly abandoned the project. Francis Daban has details in the following report.
The road users describe the Bugri-Pusiga Bridge as a death trap, adding the situation is dire during downpours. According to them, the bridge was inaccessible during the rainy season last year, cutting off several communities in the area. The entire 6-kilometer stretch has also been abandoned since the contract was awarded in 2019, a phenomenon motorists and other road users say could gravely affect the transportation business in a peak of downpours this year. Mohammed Hamidu laments the stalled road project in the district, especially the 20-kilometer Bugri Corner Basyonde Road, Timpani Gabiri, Zambala Road, and the Bugri Pusiga Road are having a toll on the economic activities in the area.
When we are going to Pusiga, we have to pass through Boku so that we can or we pass through Bachoni and pass to Vidana. So it will make our work difficult, and then it gets spoiling our work.
Meanwhile, the district chief executive of Timpani, Isaka Anabida, earlier expressed his dissatisfaction over the abandoning of the road project.
The government under the presidency of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo has awarded the Y. Johnson Timpani to Warianga Road, which is ongoing. But after the election, it's difficult for us to get the contractor back to site. We have the Zambala Gom Kolburi Road. That contractor has promised that he's paid and he will be back on site next 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, several attempts by our correspondent to ascertain the rationale behind the snail pace construction of the Bugri-Pusiga Bridge by the contractor have proven futile.
We'll take a breather. We'll be back with more. Hello again. Residents of Surugu in the northern region are appealing for more educational infrastructure to make teaching and learning conducive for pupils. Their plea comes after the MP for Sanarugu constituency, ABA Fuseni, constructed and handed over a 3-unit classroom block to members of the Surugu community.
The school have for years been studying under trees. The school, located in Surugu, a community in the Sanarugu municipality of the northern region, lacks basic infrastructure to make teaching and learning conducive. Responding to the pleas of the people of the area, Member of Parliament for Sanarugu, Alhaji ABA Fuseni, constructed and handed over a 3-unit classroom block to the community. During the handing over ceremony, the MP promised to do more to improve teaching and learning in the constituency.
If you can get further support from the courts, I don't know what to do when you get a foul. So it is clear that by the grace of Almighty Allah, His Excellency President Mama, when he comes, the NDC is known for its track record of development. So there's no doubt that if we can do this in opposition, in government, you can imagine what's coming. So there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the sky is the limit when we come back. I'm not saying if not by words. When we come back to power, in 2025, January 7th, with His Excellency President as the President of this country.
The school is the fourth to be commissioned by the MP since 2016.
It is a 3-classroom block built under my auspices as Member of Parliament for the good people of the Surugu community. It's taken us quite about years or few months to do it, and I'm sure you can recognize that being in opposition. In fact, in opposition, this is my 4th school we have inaugurated since we went to opposition.
On his part, Deputy Municipal Director of Education in Sanarugu, Abubakar Ayamba, thanked the Member of Parliament for the project and called on teachers and community leaders to maintain the facility.
As you are aware, teaching and learning can only be effective if there is an infrastructure. And the infrastructure that he has provided is something that will improve teaching and learning. I therefore stand here on behalf of the Sanarugu Education Directorate to express our profound gratitude to the Honorable.
Let's come back to Accra as the Chief Executive Officer of Rehoboth Properties Limited, Gideon Ayiku Akrofi, has called on government to put in place legislations and tax incentives that will empower real estate developers.
Rehoboth Properties is a leading real estate developer in Ghana. It has over the years provided quality and affordable homes to Ghanaians. The newly opened Rehoboth Knightsbridge City offers 400 units of affordable and luxurious apartments in a gated community with a swimming pool, a mall, laundry, pharmacy and internet connectivity, a tennis and basketball court, among others. Chief Executive Officer of Rehoboth Properties Limited, Gideon Ayiku Akrofi, delivering the welcome address at the grand opening of the Rehoboth Knightsbridge, called on government to support estate developers with the needed legislation and tax incentives to encourage more private developers to undertake affordable housing projects.
Believe that the ideas and dreams about development of housing and how technology continue to shape our cities, homes and life are one that will go beyond this event. My pride of this event and programs will be that we continue to grow and become more and more relevant with every passing event until we have achieved success in our quest for getting the needed policy reform and necessitated the idea of constructing affordable housing.
Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asenso-Boakye, gave the assurance that the government will set up the Ghana Housing Authority, strengthen tax incentives, and introduce tax waivers to bridge the 1.8 million housing deficit in Ghana.
Housing industry, as in many other economies, holds the key to the development of our country, and I'm encouraged by the role Rehoboth Properties Limited is playing to meet the enormous challenges of the industry. As government, we will continue to collaborate and create the enabling environment for the housing sector
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, delivering the keynote address, emphasized the importance of the Rehoboth housing project.
This model of housing is the basis of the family. Our young people who have completed their education and have gained employment, whether in towns or cities, should be able to start life on their own without living in compound houses, which have unnecessary trappings, noises, quarrels, fightings, they say, breaking down homes even before the homes can start.
The opening of the Rehoboth Nights Bridge was graced by dignitaries from all walks of life, including academia, politics, finance, real estate, among others. Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, after all was said and done, commissioned the building.
State open official.
With over 1,000 more affordable luxury housing projects in mind, Rehoboth Properties Limited says its vision is to improve the quality of life in Ghana.
Away from that, convener of the annual Ramadan Youth Conference, Alhaji Rabiu Modi, is calling on government to take advantage of the holy month and attend to the needs and excesses of Zongo communities. He was speaking at the just ended Ramadan Youth Conference here in Accra,
which was under the theme, The Holy Quran for a Successful Life, saw the rank and file of the capital's Islamic community. Speaking on the sidelines of the conference, Youth Imam Sheikh Kish Bashir Yandu called on government, especially leaders who belong to the Islamic faith, to make the Zongo youth their priority in national development.
Our Muslim politicians, come and let's eat tuwazafi together. At least when we sit on the same table, you listen to me. Maybe just an angle where I got it wrong, you will correct me. And this is what the boys want. You know, instead of other people being role models to them, we want you to be their role models. Instead of drug peddlers being their role models, we want you, the politicians, to be their role models. Those of you that have a direct connection with that in our communities, at least every weekend, come and play soccer with us. Come and visit us in the masjid. Let's eat tuwazafi together. Let's do the Kobola stuff we used to do before, but then in a positive light. That will, ginger the boys more than, once a while. Once a while is okay, but it's not enough.
On his part, the convener of the Ramadan Youth Conference, Alhaji Rabiu Modi, outlined the need to constantly engage the youth in the various Zongos.
Normally, you have, places like favelas and Zongos where there are no role models, and so they leave themselves to the society to dictate what they become. But we are intentionally trying to put the youth together and then put our skills together, put our time together, put our resources together so that we can better, those skill sets of young people.
He also called on government to attend to the excesses and needs of the various Zongo communities.
Zongos are bereft of resources, and I think that to bridge the gap, we need to go through the affirmative action thing. Politicians should be involved in the day-to-day welfare of Zongo indigents. You have people that are within civil service. That also serves as motivation for people to aspire and look up to. Some of these places have barriers to entry, and I think politicians hold that power to be able to use affirmative action to give slots to Zongo indigents to occupy those positions. So I want politicians to do more. Rather than just show up in the communities, be involved in actually changing the narrative and the story within the Zongo community through affirmative action.
The conference ended with a laugh feast after the breaking of the day's fast, known in Islam as Iftar.
We'll go for another break. We'll be back with more. You're welcome back. Business News is next. In business tonight, despite assets growing strongly, the banking industry has witnessed a decline in the growth of deposits in February 2022 compared to the same period last year, with non-resident leading the damage with a huge slump of 118.6%, a development an economist says reflects the general economic challenges in the country.
The monetary policy rate of March 2022, published by the Bank of Ghana, has revealed that banks saw a colossal decline in the non-resident deposits growth to 49.6% in February 2022 from 168.2% same period last year. Domestic deposits also decreased to 18% from 24.6% within the period. In all, banks' deposits grew by 18.2% in February 2022 compared to 25.1% in the corresponding year of 2021. Despite the slow growth in deposits, total assets of the banking industry grew by 23.5% year-on-year to 187.8 billion Ghana cedis as at February 2022, well above the 18.5% growth recorded in the same period of 2021. Growth in domestic assets was higher at 27.1% in February 2022 from 19.1% in February 2021, while foreign assets contracted by 21.9% from a growth of 11.1% during the same review period. The report, however, expressed optimism, saying the outlook of the banking sector remains stable and positive, although the current macroeconomic challenges present major risk in the medium term. The banking sector will therefore be closely monitored to effectively detect and address early warning signals from a possible spillover of macroeconomic challenges to the sector. This will help sustain the sector's performance going forward.
The Securities and Exchange Commission says it is struggling to control fraudulent investment schemes because most of them are on social media and are faceless. Speaking at a public lecture in Accra, the head of policy research at the Commission, Dr. Emmanuel Ashon, says the exchange is now compelled to engage in public education to protect people's investments.
Don't worry, because for the financial market to thrive, we need confidence and trust. And these fraudulent investment schemes, what they do is that they succeed in bringing mistrust onto the financial market, so that individuals who will have genuinely invested, when they experience some of these fraudulent investment schemes, they tend to shy away and move away from the financial market. So we believe that this public awareness and public education program has enlightened attendees, and they will also go out to teach and also to educate other family members and relations about the dangers of fraudulent investment schemes and how best one can avoid and also identify fraudulent investment schemes. Always check and double check the type of investment you want to do and who the operators of these investments are. Are they licensed by the regulators? Where do they operate from? Check and convince yourself before you commit your funds. If the rate promised are too good to be true and too high, you are advised to think twice before you commit your funds. Basic, use the T-bill rate as a benchmark to compare promised return. And if the promised return are too high than the T-bill rate, it is most possible it is a fraudulent investment scheme, and you are hence advised to move away from.
The year-on-year producer price inflation for March 2022 has risen to 29.3% according to data from the Ghana Statistical Service.
Year-on-year producer price inflation for March 2022 has risen to 29.3% according to data from the Ghana Statistical Service. This rate represents a 7.9 percentage point increase in the average price of goods and services received by domestic producers in the country for their production activities relative to the 21.4% recorded in February. On a monthly basis, the change in the producer price index between February and March was 6.8%. The producer price inflation in the mining and quarrying subsector increased increased by 19.8 percentage points over the February 2022 rate of 13.8% to 33.6% in March 2022. The producer inflation for the manufacturing subsector, which constitutes more than 2/3 of the total industry, increased by 7.2 percentage points to 36%. The utility subsector recorded a 1.1% inflation rate for March 2022.
That's it for business. Sports news is next. Let's start with 26 of the Ghana Premier League table, where toppers Asante Kotoko again failed to shine as they were beaten 3-1 by Legon Cities at the Babayara Sports Stadium in Kumasi. Hans Kofi fetched a brace in the match.
For Eric Ofori entry to pick up.
And this is more likely for Kotoko. Lovely move. The 1-2 between Imoro and Mfege working to perfection.
Well picked up by Hans Kofi, seems to be good enough. Jonah Atukwe is in a scoring position, checks in but slips in the process. Ball is cleared, but Salom Yao Bless has given the advantage of a penalty to Legon Cities. He's ready, he makes himself big, and the goal post here. Legon Cities go 1-2-3. Let's go number 1 for Legon Cities.
Superb penalty. I mean, he gives the goal
every time to clear out. Oh, lovely skill. Jonah Atukwe and Co are looking for. There's Hans Kofi once again. He's shown his class. He's shown what he can do. The pass is laid on. He's a bit too strong. It's crossed in nicely. Oh! Where was the marking? Where was the marking in defense? And Hans Kofi registers a goal in his name.
What a way to score your 4th goal of the season. And Hans Kofi has been in some amazing form here. Just look at Nasiru after that brilliant 1-2 goalkeeping.
Another opportunity for Imoro to bend one through. Pressure on Kotoko, get themselves back into the game. That's the man who came on just a few minutes ago. Mudasiru has put Kotoko back in the game, and can you begrudge these fans?
Came on, good delivery again, and where was the defending? The Legon Cities. I tell you, simple. Over the defense, and Atukwe very slippery without Kela, without cross.
The 3rd edition of the CEO's Table Tennis Championship has been staged in Accra, with defending champion Kweku Jampo retaining his championship trophy. The competition, which was staged by Safety Communication Consult, attracted a massive turnout with the aim of promoting a healthier lifestyle. Eric Apedu, the competition coordinator, and some players spoke with Metro Sports after the competition.
I'll say that it was well attended, even though we were expecting more people to come. But I think at the end of the day, it was successful. There were new people who came. About, I think, 2 participants, they've won medals, and that is a good achievement because these guys are people who do so well in the corporate world.
I think it's a good pastime. There are many sports one could play, but there are some sports that are overly exerting on the body. And mind you, a lot of people who are CEOs invariably may have crossed the 40-year barrier. And so the extent to which these people can muster the requisite energy to do some of the hard sports can be challenging. So table tennis provides that balance. It's actually a very exerting sport, but it has a way of being friendly.
I came in to win, and as you can see, it was a very tough match. We had a tie break. We went all the way neck to neck. It was 2-2, and then he had the edge in the very last game, down by just 2 points. So gutted, but I'm excited that it was successful. There's been no injuries. We enjoyed the game, and it was very competitive.
I feel wonderful. I feel I saw Lawyer Chris, and I thought this time I couldn't make it, but I got some encouragement from my brother who is here, who was coming to watch, and I knew yes I was going to make it for the 3rd time. So, and I've made it for the 3rd time. I feel wonderful.
Great. It was a good experience. I'm disappointed in coming 3rd. The kind of puts people together. This is for the CEO. So, I mean, there was a conference earlier as well. So, I mean, the networking opportunity, getting to know different people, because we all hear of each other's businesses, but we don't know each other.
That's it for sports. We'll be back with more stories. International news is next. Nigeria's president has said the country is in shock and trauma following the deaths of at least 100 people from an explosion at an illegal oil refinery. President Muhammadu Buhari described the incident in Imo State, southern Nigeria, as a catastrophe and a national disaster. Many victims were burnt beyond recognition. The police are now looking for the owner of the illegal oil refinery. The damage to fishing and farming caused by the oil industry over the decades and the failure to share its wealth has led some to find other ways to make money. A news just coming in indicates that incumbent French President Emmanuel Macron has been re-elected on Sunday, April 24, with 58.5% of the votes compared to 41.5% for his rival far-right candidate Marine Le Pen, according to projections in France. Mr. Macron's victory makes him the first French president in 20 years to win a second term. That's all for now, but before we go, a look again at our top stories. "46 persons injured in separate accidents on the KASOA-WINNEBA highway, with 20 in severe conditions." "2 dead, 1 in critical condition following an accident involving a water tender at Ankafufie in the central region en route to attend to a fire outbreak." Former President John Mahama alleges the Akufo-Addo-led government channeled COVID-19 pandemic windfall of over 33 billion Ghana cedis meant to cushion the economy into its 2020 campaign activities. Due to Nigeria, where the country's President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed shock over the deaths of at least 100 people from an explosion at an illegal oil refinery, describing the accident as a catastrophe and a national disaster. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good night.